The Institute, episode 3. Man, things are definitely ramping up with this season. Um, we start off with Luke going for his next batch of tests, and you could definitely see by his reaction that this is like really getting to him because he's been kind of putting on this facade that, you know, he's not letting this place get to him or it's really not bothering him. But once he's like by himself, he kind of lets it all out. Now, they continuously are doing these tests to see if he sees dots, and that is a step in the right direction for them. You know what I'm saying? The more tests you complete, the more likely it is you will be sent to the back half. And this whole episode was really interesting, but it's interesting to see Luke's state of mind now, compared to the previous two episodes where he's kind of just pretty much fed up with this and he definitely wants to escape this place. Meanwhile, you have some really interesting things going on with Tim's character with this episode, and I think this is going to be the episode. Well, at least after this episode, I think this is where Tim is going to start to look into things. And this whole kind of thing between him and Wendy, yes, we finally got her name. If they said her name in a previous episode, I definitely missed it. But yeah, I'm not too sure if we can trust Wendy. It's still kind of hard to say what side she is on, but that's going to be interesting. And like I said, it could be two things. Like she could definitely be in on everything, or she's been looking for somebody like Tim to kind of partner up with and just kind of fight back against the powers that be. Who knows? Let me know your thoughts about these two right here. But anyways, back to at the Institute, we get introduced to Avery, the TP, and he's very strong and he can read people's minds. He is a very essential character to Luke's escape plan, and I like that these two are getting closer. They're bonding. Not only Avery, but Avery has a connection to somebody like Shaw. You know what I'm saying? Just everybody's kind of just doing their best to work together and stay in this area and coming up with a plan before it's too late, you know what I'm saying, for them to escape. Now, something really interesting happens in this episode where Avery notices a presence. Now, originally I thought it was Avery trying to tap into the outside, but he can sense a very, very strong, I think he said a TP, somewhere in the back half of the building, and it even reached as far as Annie over here where she was able to hear it as well, which ties into something later on in the episode. And I really like Annie's character because she's kind of like that bridge for Tim to kind of start looking into this institute. Now, the information that Annie is giving Tim is very dangerous and very sensitive information. Like she tells about like there's going to be this plane crash. It's like them planting ideas, which goes back to what Avery is talking to Luke about, as like they're able to kind of plant ideas, and that goes into the whole mind control scenario and how the world works, and that stuff is about to get cracked wide open. But the problem is that information is very dangerous to just tell anybody. And Tim crosses paths with old girl, the reporter that goes by Kate now, which I'm pretty sure that's a fake name, but he pretty much tells her about Annie, which that was a red flag. And he quickly sees on the news that there was this plane crash, and something starts to automatically click with him. It's just like, I remember Annie talking about this. So he decides to go check up on Annie. While that's going on, you have Avery, Nikki, and Luke constantly still working out of escape plan outside. They're picking up on the guards' habits, like their schedules. But the interesting thing about Avery's character is he's able to, hijack people's minds, not only people but dogs, and he's able to kind of, you know, um, get a little bit more information that Luke and Nikki weren't able to get. So he's a very important character. But then Shaw comes out. She just got done doing her test, and she's getting ready to be moved out of their section, which is a very sad thing because they need to be sticking together so they can all escape at the same time. So the episode ends with them coming in celebrating that Shaw is about to be moved, and they're trying to think of what they can do, what last minute things that they can put in place. There's a worker there that definitely seems that she's a little on the fence, that they can possibly use to manipulate her to kind of help escape. It's still up in the air about Julia's character, Sigby, because it definitely seems like she can't really trust anybody in this episode. She can't trust Hendrix, you know what I'm saying? So, but now that they know that they can, going back to the kids, now that they have this ability where they hold each other's hand, and that gets abruptly broken up and stuff and whatnot. But what that leads into, I think we're going to wait. Like I said, and then what ends up happening with Tim is he goes to search for Annie and finds her dead body. And an interesting detail about Annie is she hasn't taken a drink of anything in about like 20 plus years. She doesn't do drugs. So, of course, when he goes to her tent and finds that she has been murdered, he automatically sees the bottle and some pills. So that's going to be his clue to kind of start to look into this institute and more into these people and stuff like that. And it's going to be very, very dangerous for him moving forward in all these characters. I really like this episode. I think it did enough to move the plot forward, to give our characters stakes. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait to see what happens next. But let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comments below. Till next time, I'm out.